All right, this is your creation. My name is Starseed Bey. How's everyone doing today? Man, I don't know what it is, but every time I try to go live, I always end up having some kind of computer issues. My computer decided to do an update, so that's what I had to wait for. But and it kind of ties in with this. Is that in life, there's always some kind of obstacles or something that will come into your life, unexpectedly. And I think you really have to really pay attention to the reasons behind that, and learn more about patience. Learn more about patience, and learn more about the reasons behind things. I work in an area where there's a lot of people, and sometimes there'll be hiccups at the cash register or something along that lines. And I always tell the customers, I'm like, well, maybe there's a reason why there's a delay in your life. Maybe there was something that could have happened to you, or that you need to be at a certain place at a certain time. So always look at the positive outlook of things, or a reason behind it. And that's basically what we're going to be talking about too, is what do we pledge our allegiance to? And this can go in a lot of ways, in a lot of different directions. So we're going to be talking about that today, just learning about what allegiance means and finding a foundation within your life. It's so very important, and I've talked about this through all my videos. It's so very important to find a foundation in your life, to find a foundation, a go home to place, to deal with your situations in life, to handle your situations in life. If you don't have some kind of foundation in your life, you're going to be running around with your head chopped off. You're going to not know where to go, who to turn to, and basically just bouncing back and forth in life with an unknowingness or an unawareness of all the situations and beliefs and faiths and all of the scenarios that we go through in our daily lives. So we're going to be talking about that, and we'll see how this video goes. So if this is your first time watching me, I am on Facebook and YouTube. So you check me out. Like, subscribe. I talk about many different things on YouTube, from spirituality to daily life, to just to make you think. My videos are designed to make you think, do research, learn, and grow within your life. So definitely like, subscribe, share out. I'm also on Facebook.com/RealTalk Bey. So definitely like the page, share it out. If you have questions, concerns, that's definitely a place to get a hold of me at the moment. And I'm also on Patreon.com/AdamStarseedBey. Still working on the page, but it is there for you guys if you are interested. So yeah, so pledging my allegiance to. This is something that a lot of people really don't pay attention to where their allegiance lies. I do feel that we do have to have some kind of foundation or an allegiance with something. One of the videos that I made quite a while ago was about flags. The importance or the symbolism that humans have created with these flags. They pledge their allegiance to their state, to their country, to their traditions, to their beliefs. It's uncanny. It really is to me, is how people will dedicate and pledge their allegiance to a flag, without even unawareingly know what they're pledging their allegiance to. Say for the United States, for example, when you pledge your allegiance to the United States, you accept everything that the United States stands for, whether it be of good or of the corruption that brings forth from the United States. And the United States is a business structure, right? You know, it says we're on American land, but we're really pledging our allegiance to the United States and all of the rules and regulations and things of that nature. You know, it's a hard pill to swallow to realize that. And when you go to different countries and things like that, you are representing the United States. So you can be considered, what would it be? A target, I guess. I have to watch the words I say. You can be considered a target to other countries and things of that nature because you're representing yourself as the United States, even if you don't believe in it. It's a crazy thing to think about. And it's the same thing with other countries. You know, you are from China, or you're from Japan, or Europe, or something like that. You know, you're from there, and you come to the United States. You're representing that country. You're representing that flag and all the rules and regulations that are brought upon that. But when you're transferring from different countries, you have to answer to their laws and their rules. You know, even if you're a United States citizen, you're under European rule. Same way with if you're European and you're in the United States, you have to answer to the United States stuff. And then they have to deal with all the legal stuff and things like that. You know, it's such a dividing state. It's very sad too. You know, I've told people before, you know, is that, you know, that you should just stay where you're at right now, because the world is in such a state of confusion. You know, it's hard to travel anymore. You know, it's hard to feel safe anymore. It's hard to just have that sense of peace or relaxation from traveling from state to country, or so on and so forth, country to country. And it's important to realize, you know, that we shouldn't be living in fear. And why is the world, you know, so divided? Why is the world so divided? Because of cultures, beliefs, faiths, traditions. You know, it's horrible. It's horrible on how people worship these flags constantly. It's crazy. It's crazy to me. You know, it really is. It's crazy in how the world has divided itself in so many ways. Fight over the most stupidest things, man. You know, oil. You know, that brings to mind oil. Why are we still using oil? You know, why are people fighting over oil? You know, one of the things that people don't realize is that when people are transferring oil from country to country, is you can put stuff in the oil. You can put merchandise in the oil. So that would be a reason for the oil industry to continue on. So you can do those secret trades and just be dirty about those kind of things. You know, honesty is thrown out the window. You know, in business, you know, they kind of teach you that honesty doesn't pay off. You know, honesty doesn't pay off. And that you have to be dirty, you have to be tactical, smart, you have to use psychology, and just, oh man, you just got to cut all of these corners to get to what you need. You know, even I know this video is kind of everywhere, but it leads into the same thing. Even with the secret services and cartel and things of that nature. That's why I like the TV show Sons of Anarchy, because it really gives you a taste of how dirty public what was the word I'm trying to look for, just how dirty relationships can be with other countries. And even in other states, you know, is it's a very dirty job. And sometimes to sniff out a rat, you got to become a rat and hire a rat to be a secret agent for these industries, and knowing how they work, how they function. Is it a threat? Is it a oh man, it stinks you can't say words without being flagged. Is it a national warning, right? A national warning that could hurt a state or a country. So it's very fascinating to me, it really is, on how things work in that nature. And again, it goes back into the allegiance thing. Do you stand for the United States? There was a big thing of people not wanting to stand for the national anthem, right? Stand for the national anthem. Because when you stand and you pledge your allegiance to that flag, you are representing yourself to what the country represents itself, including the presidents, including the laws, the rules, and all of that. Man, it's insane, it's just I don't get it. Me personally, I don't get it. It's a business. It's a way of controlling the people and distracting us as well. From what our job is. I've been very vocal about what our job as humans are supposed to be. We're supposed to be taking care of the land. We're supposed to be guarding. Holy cow, I can't say garden. Taking care of the land, nourishing the land, taking care of the animal. Then you're ready for winter. You hibernate. You hibernate, and you say, "Good job, job well done." You spent 6 months or whatever growing all these plants and food, taking care of your neighbors, and helping each other out. Now it's time to rest, relax, and then get ready for the new season again. Real simple life, real simple lifestyle, and we should be pledging our allegiance to the earth, taking care of the earth. It's never been about money. It's never been about greed. It's never been about pledging your allegiance or being, I have this different viewpoint on life, or, hey, I don't believe in what you believe, so I'm going to go start something else. That's the story of Cain and Abel. I don't think it's in the Bible. I'd have to read again. But there is a story out there that talks about Cain and how, he was alienated out of where Adam and Eve was. So he went and he created his own religion, his own view of God, and just populated a whole new realm. So it divided himself, right? He divided himself not only from his parents, but he divided himself from the Creator and what we're supposed to do. So he created his own belief, his own laws, and things of that nature. And that's what we're learning. That's what we're learning daily. That's what we're seeing. We're seeing the results of what happens when you live by the god of fortune, when you live by the god of money, the god of greed, the god of lust, and basically just the god of the physical body. Lusting over this physical form. Using the Godhead mind to control the masses. In a dirty way. Same with churches are the same way. Churches have a beautiful foundation, but it's been neglected, it's been abused, and a lot of times, you just have pastors that just talk stuff. And Nehemiah says the serpent seed. Oh man, you're gonna get me to a different subject. I'll see if I can get to that here. Let's see. Thank you for everyone who's joined me in the chat room. Definitely appreciate it. White Wave says, the God who lacks squash. There is no squash there. You know, and you know, it's so very true. You know, with objects, you know, we see shiny things. And the reason why I was talking about churches, you know, is that the Vatican is a good example of what happens when you take something beautiful, right? The beauty of creation, talking about a creator that loves his creation, you know, that loves to hear his children talk to him and create and learn and grow. You know, we have the Christ character that teaches us to go within ourselves, and the promise, you know, that there will be many more people who will bear witness just like he did, who will be Christ-like just like him, right? Not the false prophets, but those who walk the path of Christ, who share and speak upon the beauty of his name, you know, right? Or speak the beauty of the I am, right? You know, I always say this all the time in my videos. You know, Christ always said, I am the way, truth, and life. No one goes to the Father except through me. You know, I am that I am within me. You know, you get to choose. You can choose who you want to be, how you want to represent yourself, you know, who or what you're pledging your allegiance to, right? You know, you're pledging your allegiance to the world and the worldly affairs, because, you know, that's basically what it is. You know, you live by the flesh. You live by the flesh. You're going to pledge your allegiance to the flesh. And there was a beautiful scripture I read earlier today that really discussed that. Is that, you know, if you basically how the scripture was, it was if you live by the flesh, then you're dead, right? You're no longer living. But if you live by the spirit or by the soul, and this is my words, it's not the scripture, but basically, if you live by the spirit or live by the soul, then you truly are alive and you are eternal forever and ever. And that's so very important to realize, is that there is two sides, right? You know, people always say there's two sides to every coin. You know, there's two sides to every coin. You can either live a physical reality and worship this physical reality, or you can learn the true essence of self, the soul, the spirit, you know, learn what that is, create a higher mind state, right? You know, people always talk about it as a Christ consciousness, but it's really just tuning into the spirit, turning into the soul. It's what you are at the end of the day. You know, so many people say, well, you know, I need to reach a higher state. Let me go into meditation mode and get to a higher level than what Adam Starseed Bey is, right? You know, this Adam Starseed Bey vessel is just a limited structure, so let me go to a higher level. No, it's the same essence of you. You can pull everything down from heaven, right? You know, you can bring stuff from heaven down, right? You know, you can create a heaven-like state in the physical reality, but it's never going to truly be heaven, right? You know, that's a higher state of self. And you can bring all that knowledge and awareness down, but you can't bring this earthly plane up with you. You know, you can't bring this materialistic realm up into the heavenly realms. You can't, because that's what you brought from heaven. That's what creation is. You know, you manifest something, you draw something, you write something, and then you create it. You make a book, you make an awesome machine or tool, something like that. You brought that down from heaven. You brought that down from a higher mind, and it's you. It's you. You've always had that within you. And it's uncanny. Again, when you pledge your allegiance to the physical realm or to a religion or a human doctrine, you're limiting yourself to an unlimited potential of what you could be. You know, it's great to have a foundation with religion at first. It's the baby steps that we learn about, the baby steps. You know, I was born and raised in a Christian home. I was in a church. I was actually in school for a couple of years. The first, I think, up until second or third grade, I was in that church school, right? And it laid a lot of foundations for me. You know, I learned about God. I learned about Christ. I learned about, you know, the relationships that people can have within a church environment. But I also saw the negativity involved in the politics within the church realm too. You know, it made me realize that there is a dividing state between the church and what it means to have a personal relationship with Christ and God. You know, they teach you the basics, and they definitely use the fear factor of, you know, if you don't give your life to Christ, and you're going to go to hell, you're going to experience a hell type structure within your life. And it's very basic, it's very limited, and it seems that the world runs on that. It thrives off of that. You know, that's why the world is in the state it is, because people have pledged their allegiance to flags. They're pledged their allegiance to a religion or a god of paper, right? You know, and it's hard to talk about this kind of stuff because it just depends on where you're at in your walk of life. You know, there's so many people who have different walks of life, who reach a certain element in their walk. You know, I'm learning more and more day to day, you know, on how you have to reach a mature level in your life. You have to reach a mature level. You have to learn when it's time to grow up. Never lose the child in you, for sure, but you do have to reach that level of maturity. You have to be able to utilize your experiences, share your testimonies, share your beliefs, your faiths, and your walk. You know, that to me is some of the strongest elements a person can share with somebody, is their personal walk with Christ or God. You know, how has that shaped their life? How has that evolved within their life, right? You know, there's so many people who are lawless, so many people who don't have an understanding of what a creator is. I see White Wave says, "Pray for my maturity, Brother Adam." And it does take it takes that time. It takes that time. I don't even know how old I am. I think I'm 38. I think I just turned 38. And you know, it's taken me quite a long time. You know, 38 years old really isn't that long of a time. I always tell people, I'm like, you know, you're really not old until you're 90. You're really not old until you're 90. And all honestly, you know, I stick to that in a lot of ways, is that, you know, that mature level reaches a certain stage in your life, and you have to learn to adapt and put yourself in that role. You know, put yourself in that role, in realizing, you know, that when we grow up, we're children, we're learning and growing. Teenagers is at that state where we're turning into adults. We don't want to leave our child essence, and we want to prove ourselves sometimes. We want to prove ourselves in our teenage years, you know, that we are better than adults. We're smarter than adults. You know, we know everything. We have everything figured out as a teenager, right? You know, that's always the mindset. And then once you hit your 20s, you begin to either start to grow up, or you begin to remain a rebellious teenager. Through your 20s, remain a rebellious teenager. think that you know it all. You've been through it all. You've been through your hardships and heartbreaks and things of that nature. So by the time 30 rolls around, you begin to really question where you're at. All honestly, I think a lot of people go through in their mid-20s kind of a crisis within their lives. That's what I went through in my 20s, is that I had to transition myself from the state I was in my teenage years. I was homeschooled, had a different life than other people. Had no friends really. All I had was my family and some of my cousins and things of that nature. Hey, how's it going, Jay? Things of that nature. So I really had no one to turn to. I really had that, all I really had was Christ in my life. I had such a strong foundation with Christ. Through my ups and downs in my life, questioning about things. My mom, she has such a strong faith and lovingness about her, and we would always spend hours talking about, Christ and God, and why, people had hardships in their life. I learned later on in my 20s, and why people don't believe in God or trust in God or Christ because of all the hardships they went through, of their parents beating their kids, or their father leaving them, or their mother leaving them, or their parents died so they had to live with their aunt or their uncle. They lost their kids in an accident or something like that, something devastating happening in their life. And it really is a trial that we have to go through. Can we sustain this? Can we hold on? Can we learn from this? Are we going to give up on life? Can we learn the power of surrender? Have our full faith in Christ. Have our full faith in the Creator. Our life is ups and downs all over the place. We talk about frequency, talk about energy, talk about vibrations. Look into the New Age perception of things. Again, a dividing state, right? That's what we're slowly learning, is that there is a dividing state between the religious teachings of Christ and the New Age teachings of vibrations and energies and entities, the higher mind, and things of that nature. And Christ talked about all of this stuff on his walk. He spoke in parables, so then people would think, learn, and grow. The Bible is full of parables. It's uncanny to me. I've been writing. Oh crap! I forgot what I was writing now. I haven't written it in a while. But I just been studying the scriptures and learning about words. And I've been talking about this in my videos. Is learning about the hidden meanings behind words. Is that the Bible isn't about the Middle East. The Bible is about your book of life, your creation, what you go through in life, right? Satan is translated as the adversary. We're always going to have an adversary in our life, and it's good to have the adversary. Not a lot of people accept the fact that they have an adversary in their life. A lot of Christian perceptions, or what they teach you, is that you need to fight against the adversary. You need to hate the adversary. You have to fight and struggle. It's good to have demons in your life tormenting you and things of that nature, because that's showing you the power that God is with you and things of that nature. It's a power struggle that we create within the mind state, right? We create that within the mind state. So it really creates that separation within the self, within the I am. I struggled with it all the time. There was always stuff that tempted me and led me astray. And then, we've all been there. We ask in prayer for forgiveness. Why am I having these thoughts? Just send Satan away from my life, send these demons away, and go from there, right? Thinking that the Satan character and the demons are separate entities that are tormenting us and torturing us, and that we don't deserve happiness, and that we don't deserve to have a well-balanced life. A lot of people have that mindset. I've had that mindset. I was at that state in my life where, I didn't want to live anymore. I was like, I just can't take this anymore. Nobody loves me. No one appreciates me. No one respects me. Things of that nature. That I went into my darkest state of self. And I think a lot of people really go through that, and they have that choice to surrender to Christ or surrender to the Creator, and learn, that the ego is something that will swallow all of us up. That's what it is. It's an ego trip. It is it's an idol trip of the flesh, the idol trip of the self. We create these eternal struggles within ourselves, unawareingly. I've been through it myself, unawareingly realizing that that those struggles were my own, that I was creating those struggles within myself. And I've talked about my dreams, talked about shadow beings and things of that nature. It's kind of a inside reflection of the soul, or trials and tribulations that you're going to go through. There's always hits and tips that I feel the soul gives us at the end of the day. We're all connected. All of us are connected together. I'm connected to White Wave, connected to Jay, connected to Nehemiah. Our souls are connected. But we experience life differently. Our book of life is different. We have a story to share and a story to create and grow. But it comes with choice, it comes with will, it comes with intent. Again, pledging your allegiance comes into play again. Are you pledging allegiance to the world of self-doubt and greed and money and lust and ego and power and things of that nature, man? We pledge our allegiance to this flesh. A lot of people feel that this flesh is it, that there is no life after this life. And even this is probably a video I'll have to make in the future. Even this existence. Listening to people's testimonies. I was watching True Seekers podcast today, and they were talking about that very same element. Learning about what the I am is, learning that everything is within you. The soul is within you, and it really digs deep into an awareness of what is heaven, what is God, what is Christ. Is there truly life after this, right? Is there truly life after this? It's a trip, right? It is a trip. This is why a lot of people say, we can never understand the human mind can never understand what lies beyond this human realm. What lies beyond this human realm. It is an unaware, and it's an awareness that we can never grasp, right? People are speaking that magic spell of limitations within their life. People are speaking that magic spell of, I can never be something more. I just am a limited being, right? I'm just a limited being that can never fully grasp the unlimited potentials of self. And That the word that's coming to mind is that's ignorant. That's foolish. That's selfish to think that we can never succeed into something more. We can never succeed into something more. Looking outside traditions, looking outside faiths. No, you can't do that, right? I was talking with my mom the other day about that. Is how in other countries, their traditions are so strict that if you break their foundations, that you're an outcast, or they get rid of you, right? They shame your family. They shame your bloodline. You're never welcome again because you have broken the ancestral traditions that they had, right? It's sad. My mom, she's really into drafts, and she watches. I don't know where it is. I think it's in New York. And every year they have this draft, and then they have babies, and they videotape the life of the baby draft and things like that. That's something that my mom has really attached herself to, and she likes watching that. Crap, I forgot where I was going with this. Oh yeah, I remember now. But I guess in some country or something like that, they were videotaping these drafts and things like that, and the poachers, I mean, there weren't even poachers really, but they ended up oh man, I'm trying to think of a different word here. They got rid of the 3 drafts. Because of their traditions. They had to cut off the giraffe's tail for their traditions. Something about that when their children grow up, they use the giraffe as some kind of religious thing or something like that. So they get rid of the giraffes, they cut them open, and then they have the vultures devour them. And I guess the vultures devour them within an hour. A whole giraffe is devoured within an hour. And it's sad, it really is. But because their traditions are so strong, they feel they have to continuously do that. So now giraffes are now becoming an instinct animal now, which is sad. And that's horrible. That is horrible. Who would have thought that giraffes would become an instinct, or becoming an instinct race? That's horrible. And it's horrible that the people in those traditions don't question that. And why don't they question that? It's because they're scared. They're afraid. They're afraid that if they leave those traditions and beliefs, for one, like I said, they get rid of them, but they would be considered an outcast. And that's the same way in churches, is that, if you don't follow their own human doctrines of what they feel God is, or what God represents to them, right? You have to listen to the pastor or the priest. Then you're considered an outcast. I've felt that way all the time, through churches. I always had more questions than what they could answer, and they'd tell me, is that the answers that you're seeking, I can give you a foundation in my church, but the answers you seek, you're not going to find here. So you need to go somewhere else. And learn about that. But if you want to sit down and learn about the word of the Bible, right? Want to learn about the Bible with me? Well, then we can sit down and discuss it. But the state you're in, your mindset you're in, I can't do anything for you. And a lot of people go through that in churches. A lot is that. So you start to feel like you're an outcast. You don't know what to do. You don't know where to go, right? But we're living in a glorious state right now. I mean, we're really living in a beautiful state, because we're starting to see the blending and the merging of 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 the many of us who had those questions, who had those experiences, be like, hey, uh I've been in contact with these beings or these entities, these angels. What does it mean? What does it represent? Um, how can I embrace the experiences that I'm going through? Oh. Hold on, getting distracted here. How can I embrace those experiences I'm going through without thinking that I'm crazy and that I'm not the only one experiencing these situations that I'm going through, right? My wife says this channel feels like Bible studies, and I miss that. Yeah, I do too. I do too. I miss having those. I used to have study groups, teenage youth groups that we would go through. We'd study the Word, and we would just get on a personal level. We talk about life and things like that. And sometimes, we wouldn't even be studying the Bible. We would just talk about life in general. There was some people in there that were abused. There was one person that had eating disorder, had an abusive relationship with a man, and things like that. And we would discuss that stuff, and it was real. It was down to earth, and it was something that I experienced for a limited time, right? And then I just kind of just left after that, because all those people that were in that study group started to go to college, moved to a different state, and it just lost its magic there. It just lost its magic, so it just fizzled out. And that's what we go through in life, is that we need to embrace what we experience. Everything is about moments and a learning experience for the future, right? That was a memory, honestly, I kind of forgot about until just when White Wave talked about Bible study, and I remembered that experience, and that was a good experience. That was real, that was raw, and it just wasn't about, oh, if you don't give your life to Christ, you're going to go to hell kind of perception. It was a good Bible study. It was real. And honestly, man, I don't even remember who was the leader of that study group. Honestly, I don't remember. But it was a good person though. Whoever it was, they really kept it open. We actually went to a house, which was kind of nice. It was a house visit instead of at a church, so it was pretty cool. It really was. That's something that we have to get back into. Starting to fellowship with other people. Like myself, I've been wanting to go to churches just to be kind of like a secret angel for people. But every time Sunday rolls around, I'm just like, I don't know if I can handle that, because I know what I'm going to walk into in churches. I know what I'm going to walk into. It's frustrating what I will walk into. But, at the end of the day, that's also a selfish way of thinking as well. And you realize that, is that you can create assuming what that situation is going to unfold into, and more than likely it's probably going to turn into that, but it's the outcome. It's the outcome. Once I enter into those church doors, what is the outcome going to be? Who am I going to meet? Am I going to have an influence on somebody? What is, when I go in there as that secret angel, could I be at that right place at the right time for a person there? I don't know. And that's why we have to get out there and find out. With me personally, I'm very vocal, and I really want to sit down with these pastors and find out their perception, find out where they want their church to go, what their expectations for their church is, and things like that. I got to get on that. My soul, my spirit has been guiding me towards that quite a bit. But every time Sunday rolls around, either I find an excuse or it's not the right time yet. It's not the right time yet. I'm learning slowly that patience is key, and that a lot of this stuff is going to play itself out. Like I said, the old paradigm is fading away. We're seeing that. Churches are going out of business. People aren't going to church anymore. People are exploring outside the church realm. People are exploring outside religion. People are questioning the Bible, wondering what the Bible means. A lot of people's perceptions of the Bible is a very jealous God, a vengeful God, a God who likes to destroy life and things like that. People have that perception. That's what God is in the Bible, right? Fearing God, that was something that was brought up too, is that, why do we need to fear God? That never sparked with me. I'm like, why do you need to fear God? What is there to be fearful of? People have explained to me, well, fearing God just means, that you need to surrender to God, and things of that nature. But it still never clicked with me. Fear is such a strong word, and it's something that should not be in there. It shouldn't be. We need to learn about creation. We need to learn about the love of life, and that we can bring that love of life to people. We're always going to have adversaries in our life. We're always going to have negativity in our life. There's always going to be there's always going to be somebody that's going to bicker, complain. We're always going to have bosses that are going to be yelling at us. It's a way of life. It's just a part of the structure. But we can choose to either give in, tuck our tail between our legs, and just live in self-doubt and frustration, and why is life this way towards me? God must hate me. Nothing goes right in my life, and things like that. You're setting that mindset. You've already set that mindset. You have pledged your allegiance that the mindset that you have is true. It's real. Life is never going to change. God hates me, and things like that. And you create that mindset. You pledge your allegiance to that mindset. And a lot of people get stuck in that. It astonishes me daily, on how people are still stuck in that mind state. But I can relate because I've been there myself. And it's, again, is that walk of life. It is your book of life. We have to go through those trials and tribulations to see if we're ready to move up into that state of maturity, because that's all it is. It's moving up into a state of maturity, learning and growing from it, how to be a positive influence to others, and bring out that mature level in those kind of situations. When someone's bickering and complaining, be that mature one to say, hey, why are you complaining? Is it doing any good? How can we do, what can we do to create a situation where you're not complaining all the time? Let's find a solution. Solution is key. There's so many things that need solutions. So many people are stuck in the old ways, and look what's happened because people are stuck in the old ways is things are falling apart. The foundation is breaking. It's crumbling. Look at news. Look at the presidency, the way the government is run, and things like that. Political people, I guess that's the word I'm looking for. Political people. Just look on how it's crumbling before our eyes, you know, and how they're trying to force their ways among the people, right? That's one of the things that for Trump, right? You know, Trump really, he's such a vocal person, whether it's psychological or whatever it may be. There was something that because he always insults people all the time, but there was a question someone asked, and he said something along the lines of, "Yeah, I know you don't think, you don't do research, you don't learn, right? You don't learn." And, you know, it downed that person, you know, and that person can either takes that as a insult or go, you know, maybe I need to look deeper into matters, or maybe I need to when I'm asking someone like the president, maybe I need to look at the hidden meaning of things, right? You know, being a president, man, I'd never want to be a president. You know, it's not only from a political standpoint, and, you know, there's many different conspiracy things talking about the presidents and bloodlines and things of that nature. But at the end of the day, you know, it's a big political, dirty job. It's a dirty job. Of having to make all those decisions, choices. They speak their words real wisely. There's hidden codes and meanings within what they talk about. It really is. And if you do a lot of research, if you do research on how they talk, and there's a lot of people that has put all of the president's speeches together, and all the presidents will say key words throughout the presidency. It's because they're key words. You know, they're letting the public people know, hey, this is what's going on, or they let the world leaders know, hey, we're getting ready to do the next step in our plan or in our agenda. It's crazy stuff, but you have to think. You have to think. You have to be mature in the mind. In America, man, they teach you how to be stupid. They teach you to be selfie-infested, ego-driven, idol worshipping of the self, makeup and glamour, and let's see how much shock value I can bring to YouTube and Twitter. Anime style personality. It's really crazy, man, because when anime first came to the States in the 90s, it wasn't accepted. It was stupid. People thought that the characters were over exaggerated. Now we look at 2018, and now people are living a very Japanese animated style of life, of shock value, of and just overreacting everything. And it's just it just astonishes me on how America White Wave says, I do like shock value. And it's fun to an extent, but people really go just, oh my gosh, people go overboard. And our children really take it seriously. Teenagers take that stuff seriously, and they think that's the way the world is. I always have to remind, my son's really mellow and relaxed, so I'm not too worried about him, but my daughter, on the other hand, holy cow, she gets influenced real easy. So, you know, I really have to watch her. I have to really tell her, hey, what you watch on TV is fake. People really don't act that way. And if they do act that way, then they're hiding their emotions. They don't know how to think for themselves. So I really have to just make sure my daughter stays grounded in that way. But, you know, she's learning and growing in life, you know, and it's just kind of the world we live in right now. But, you know, that's why I'm here. I'm here to to be that voice for my kids in the future. So when they go through situations, they'll be like, oh yeah, I remember my dad. He told me about I would go through this situation and how I might make some stupid decisions. And sure enough, I made some stupid decisions. And dang it, Dad, you were right. And things like that. You know, the cycle of life. You know, we all go through that. We don't realize that our parents, the parents that truly love us, we don't realize just how much our parents love us until we go through those situations. We make those bad decisions and we go, dang it, my parents were right. I should have listened. So, you know, we can relate on all levels. We really can. So that's where we have to share our testimonies out there. And just, you know, just like what I'm talking about, you know, is that, you know, I'm sharing the ideas of how many things we pledge our allegiance to, that we give our energy out to stuff. You know, people are giving their energy out to a flag. People give their energy out to a president. People give their energy out to somebody else that's outside themselves. You know, they think that they're not worthy, so they're going to pledge their allegiance to somebody else. You know, if you're building a platform, you know, you're definitely needing to have that support. You know, and that's the next step, you know, that I'm seeing, is that we have to be supporting others. You know, if that testimony sparks interest within you and you want to support that, you know, you want to support Starseed Bey, then, you know, you can walk beside them, right? I'm all about people walking beside me, right? You can walk beside me. I don't want you walking behind me. I sure do not want you walking in front of me. I want you to walk beside me, where we learn and grow with each other. We're building something together, right? Because like myself, I'm building stuff. I'm working on creating new school curriculums of some kind, right? That's what I'm working on right now, is writing a book of what I want to see in the future for our children and our children's children. You know, we have to bring spirituality back, and teach our children that at an early age. You know, it's a part of life. Teaching our kids, you know, this physical body is just a limited meat suit. We're here to learn, we're here to experience, we're here to grow. Definitely, right? But if we can teach our children the responsibilities of being mature, and just learning about the I am within you, then that's going to create a better foundation in their life, instead of learning about the history of our founding fathers and this is what happened in history and things like that. You know, at the end of the day, you know, the past is the past. You know, can we learn from the past? Yeah, we can. Is the past gonna repeat itself? Yep, it sure does. And we're seeing it unfold again. We're seeing the old paradigm fall and crumble again. So it's going to start anew. It's going to start a new thing. We're going to see things get worse, and then we're going to see things get better. We're going to see people balance out. We're going to see people get back into spirituality again. And it's a flow and cycle of life. It's a book of life. You know, I am the Alpha and the Omega of my life. You know, I was born into this world, and that was the beginning, my Alpha state. And then when my time is done here, that will be my Omega state, the end game, right? The end game of this book of life. All books of life have a beginning, a middle, and an end. And then you move on. You know, when you can choose to have a footprint left when you leave, and then you move on. Your soul moves on. You look into the soul matrix, and I've talked about this before. Soul matrix, how we're all connected. I could be one soul, but I could be attached to 1,000 souls. We all experience different things. Then we leave these meat suits. We go back to the soul matrix, and then we move on to another planet or another state of being, right? another state of being where we're learning and creating and growing. You know, it blows the mind thinking of that aspect. You know, is it real? Is it true? You have to find out for yourself. You know, meditation is key. Praying is key. You know, you're going to discover your spiritual essence within you. You know, you're going to have to learn on what that is. You're going to have to learn how to handle the demons that emerge through meditation, right? So many people are scared of meditation. Churches don't touch meditation. People think that meditation is evil and that demons are going to come after you. But, you know, that's because of a lack of understanding what meditation is, you know, and that's something that we should be teaching our kids as well, is that as well. There's so many things that we should be teaching our kids, but we live in a world of materialistic realm. We live in a world of God of fortune, again, like I said, money and business, and just, it's stupid, man. It's retail, you know, oh my word, it's crazy. So yeah, I've been talking for an hour now, so I'm probably going to go ahead and end this video. So yeah, so yeah, this was a pretty good talk. So at the end of the day, that's the whole point of this video, is look at your life. See what you're pledging your allegiance to. Is it benefiting your life? Is it helping your life? Is it aiding your life? Is it helping others? You know, if the things that you're pledging your allegiance to is not bettering your life, helping your life, and things of that nature, go back into that secret place. Pray and meditate about it. You know, like I said, you know, Christ is my foundation. It's my go home to place. You know, Christ is my best friend. And I can always lean on that Christ energy. If I ever question my path or things of that nature, that's my foundation. I pledge my allegiance to that foundation because it works for me. It has worked for me my whole life. And it continues to work. You know, I see the miracles that happen in my life, and the situations that unfold. You know, that Christ energy will get me ready and prepared for a situation that may be coming up, and things like that. That's my foundation. That's what I pledge my allegiance to, right? And that's what you have to look for as well. You know, do you pledge your allegiance to your physical reality, right? Or do you pledge your allegiance to the soul reality? Do you pledge your allegiance to the God of the Bible? Do you pledge your allegiance to the God of the I am within you, right? So, you know, it's a self-discovery of things, you know, and learning on what kind of foundation works for you, right? You know, and with me saying that, it's going to confuse some people. People pledge their allegiance to the God in Christ of the Bible, right? And then that's where people will say, well, Adam, you're right, man. You know, I pledge my allegiance to the God of the Bible and Christ, and my life is just horrible. So what am I supposed to do? How am I supposed to discover a foundation in my life if the God of the Bible is not helping me? That's where you have to have that personal relationship with God or the Creator and Christ within you, right? That's what Christ was all about, discovering within you, you know, taking that walk, taking that leap of faith and going inside yourself, using the power of praying and meditation, right? Having that allegiance happen within you, right? The Bible is outside self, you know, and when you read that, you feel like God is so far away from you, just galaxies away from you, right? So it really creates a separation. But if you go within you, there is no separation anymore. You know, you feel that connection, you feel that oneness, you feel that warmth and that love of self within you. So that's where you have to just realign yourself, right? Realign yourself. look at your life, and just look at what you're pledging your allegiance to. Again, I can't say that enough. So yeah, so that's that. At the end of the day, I would say for anybody who's watching this video, just write down things that are working in your life, things that you're pledging your allegiance to that are working. Write that down. Look at the positive influence that's having in your life and having on other people's lives. And then write down stuff that you're pledging your allegiance to that isn't working in your life. Look at those situations. Don't ignore them. Don't destroy them. But find out why those allegiances aren't working in your life. How can you make it better? If you have a friend, your relationship, you go into a church, just look at why those aren't working. How can you change it? How can you make it be a positive allegiance in your life? And things like that. That is a better way of managing your life, right? I always say life is like a business, right? And it's the same way. You need to see what works, what sells for the customers, right? What draws the customer's attention, and what doesn't draw the customer's attention. And that's to be the same way in your life. Look what you're pledging your allegiance to that's working, and look what you're pledging your allegiance to that's not working, and fix on those things that aren't working. See if you can make it work, or see if you just need to just get rid of it altogether. But be mature-minded in it. Life is about maturing in life. Michael Basham said this on one of his podcasts. He said, that when we reach that level of maturity, and we become the older and the wiser, right? Without it getting to our mind, we just become older. We need to be that influence for the children. We need to be speaking out. We need to be teaching them the rights of life, the wrongs of life, learning about allegiances, making decisions and choices and things like that. That's our job. As we get older, that's our job, is to help the elderly. Not be consumed in this life our whole life and be like, well, I'm just going to live my life the way I want, and just seclude myself from reality, right? And that's not the way it should be. Elders back in the day, elders were very respected, and they were looked upon for wisdom and knowledge. And those of youth would go to the elders and go, hey, I'm struggling in this right now. What can I do to make my life better? And then the elders would be like, well, youngin, when I was your age, I did some pretty foolish stuff too. But eventually, you have to learn to grow up. You got to learn on what serves you, and you got to learn on what doesn't serve you. You got to sometimes make that long journey in the desert, and learn what was precious in your life, and learn on what no longer served of value. At the end of the day, son or daughter, you're going to learn that your life was what was precious. The moments you had with people, those are moments that should be your treasures that live on forever. And things like that. That's getting a little deep there. but that's where we should be. As we go older, we need to learn and develop ourselves and reach that state of maturity, that higher mind, which is still you. It's not outside of you. That mature mind, or that Christ energy within you, that reaches that level of maturity. Create a foundation. Look at what you're pledging your allegiance to, and so on and so forth. I use this stuff in my daily life. This is why I make videos, to help you guys out. I'm here to help you. I love to promote myself out there, get myself out there, look for supporters. But at the end of the day, I'm all about helping you guys better your life for the better. So then those that surround you, when you learn about your trials and tribulations, then you can help them along their path as well. And that's what I'm all about. And that's what I share with you guys. So then you guys can continue that even when I'm not around. So I'm going to go ahead and end it on that. So love yourself. Keep shining bright. Thank you all for joining me in the chat room. Really appreciate it. And yeah, there's definitely some other stuff I'd love to talk about, but that's another time, another video. So love yourself. Keep shining bright. Be a positive influence in other people's lives. Maturity is key. Learning and growing in life, and just constantly break the walls down of limitations. You feel there's a limitation in your life, write it down, and then learn how to break that wall down and move on to the next and to the next, right? That reminds me of the walls of Jericho, right? The walls of Jericho. And there's many different things that are talked about in the Bible about the walls and about the walls breaking down. Talked about the trumpets, which would be trumpets of awareness and things like that. Learn how to break those walls down and build new foundations, new walls, build and then destroy the old walls, and so on and so forth. Just realize that you have unlimited potential. Yep. Nehemiah just said the very same thing. We are unlimited, right? And that's so very true. We have unlimited potential. And there's so many directions that we can choose. I had to choose the foundation that I needed to present to you guys. I'm still learning on those foundations and sticking with them. But at the end of the day, you be consistent with it. You learn what works, and you mature and develop what you've grown for yourself and what you're creating for yourself. It's going to grow and blossom into something more, and it will become more professional and things of that nature as well. So yeah, so love yourself, keep shining bright, always be some kind of influence to others and yourself. And life is good. You can make life good. At the end of the day, praying and meditation is key. Learning the power of surrender is key as well. And finding a foundation. Again, Christ is my foundation, and that foundation can work for you as well. So yeah, so I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to keep rambling on. So love yourself. Keep shining bright. I'll talk to you all later.